Hello, my name is Виктор Радзиевский. I'm Deputy General Director of First Russian Jazz Radio, and unbelievable, but I have an interview with great Larri Korьелл. Hello, Larry. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, Victor.
I know that tomorrow you're going to visit Jazz Festival in Kursk, Jazz Province. I want to ask you about your impressions from last 2 days and gigs in Philharmonic Hall in Minsk and Alexei Kozlov Club in Moscow. And did you like audience and organization?
Yes, very much. Minsk was fantastic, and last night here in Moscow was also fantastic.
And what about people?
They love the music. They respond very strongly to the music. I was very happy.
And what's the difference between Russian audience and, for example, audience from Canada or United States or other countries?
Well, they're very similar. I just played in Canada, and they were very enthusiastic in Canada. I was in Toronto. The public was very enthusiastic, just like Minsk and just like Moscow.
But Russian and Belarusian people really looks like. And yesterday you said me that you enjoy the music written by Sergei Prokofiev.
Absolutely.
Why Mr. Prokofiev? And what about other Russian composers and musicians? Who is the leader of your personal rating?
Well, I don't rate them like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no real leader in the rankings, but the reason I like Prokofiev is that it sounds very close to jazz. I like that.
Oh, really?
But Shostakovich is really fantastic as well. I was listening to Shostakovich today from the Leningrad Symphony, and it was a march. There's a big march in there, and it's quite interesting. No, I'm sorry. The movement was called Gadfly.
Okay.
And very exceptional piece of music. I like this writing because it's not like the Western European.
Okay, but
it's fresh.
Yes, fresh.
It's different.
But it's the way of Russian classical school. I mean,
it's a good way.
Yeah, like Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky, and so on. Prokofiev, one of the really most famous and best classical composers. But usually, very interesting when we speak about jazz music. Usually, a Russian remembers the name of Shostakovich, because Shostakovich did one of the first who did jazz suite. Jazz suite.
I did not know that.
Yes, it was jazz suite in Soviet Union time. It was incredible. It was 16th years old. 16th years, yes, 16th. Larry, help me to find the answer to the theoretical question. What style of jazz music we can call today modern? What is the difference between modern jazz and fusion, for example? Because some people say that fusion is always electronic music and jazz is acoustic. Do you agree with that?
No. You can play fusion music acoustically, and you can play modern jazz with electric instruments.
Yeah.
It's really the mind. It's really the mind of the musician that determines what it is.
Okay, and what will be the difference between modern jazz? I don't mean bebop or post-bop and so on. I mean modern jazz, modern today.
Well, I consider a lot of modern jazz to be very close to bebop and post-bop.
Yeah.
For me, it's just for me. Everybody has their own references. For me, it's if it sounds like it's really from another time, if it sounds old, then it's not modern jazz.
Yeah.
But you can play an old style of jazz and still be modern.
Yeah, because your technique, your fresh ideas,
it's the mind.
Yes.
It's really what the mind is doing.
Okay, and we can speak...
But definitely there is... It's very clear in terms of the approach to harmony, the difference between fusion and jazz. Jazz does have more involved intervallic harmony. In other words, there's a lot of what's called a 2-5-1 resolution in the straight ahead jazz. That's part and parcel. That's what makes it straight ahead. But in fusion, there's a lot of harmony that sounds like it could be 2-5-1, but it's not. It's not really. They don't make that kind of chord progression so much in fusion. Fusion is more modal, or in many cases, it's a kind of harmony that simply is. It's closer to the late stage of Coltrane.
Yeah, of course, yes. But I have we have a little paradox, because we can speak about fusion music, but fusion appeared in 17th, yes.
Right.
And but before this, we have, for example, bossa nova music. It's fusion too, because we have a jazz, classical jazz, harmonies, and so on, and we have bossa nova rhythms.
Right.
Why it's not fusion?
Right. I don't disagree.
Okay.
You have to remember that according to the musician who's playing it, the jazz artist can transform any type of music into something beautiful because of his jazz sensibility. This is what Stan Getz did with the bossa nova.
Yeah.
And I like also the way Charlie Bird was playing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Bossa nova.
He used Spanish chords.
Yeah, and if you go all the way back to the early stage of jazz, for example, W.C. Handy, St. Louis Blues, the introduction, I think it's either an introduction or an interlude in the original St. Louis Blues is a rumba.
Yeah.
So that's Latin.
Yeah.
So that's another kind of fusion.
Okay, it's fusion, but okay, we can speak only about the name, because fusion was a very long time ago.
The big time for fusion, as many people know it, was, like you said, in the 70s.
And the name appeared only in 70s.
Yeah. Before that, we called it jazz rock.
Yeah. And pop rock with Julian Adderley, for example, he began to perform pop jazz music and so on with Cannibal Adderley.
Well, that was
Mercy, for example.
That was what we call soul music.
Yeah,
soul music. People like Horace Silver, Cannonball Adderley, Ray Charles. That had a more down-home, gut-bucket type of feel to it, but it was still jazz.
Okay. Larry, the political situation between the United States and Russian Federation now looks like Caribbean crisis of 1962. What is the influence of these processes to the world of music and art in general?
Well, we artists, we musicians, I can only speak for myself, but we are not political. Well, I am not political. I don't carry any political message with my music.
Yeah.
I carry no message except the music itself. But as most of my friends who are musicians, I'm sure they would like to see a relationship of friendship between countries like the United States and Russia, and maybe we should just have more jazz concerts. And the jazz audiences who come to see us in Russia, they just love the music, and they don't really seem to declare any kind of political definition about this. They forget about those problems when they hear the music, because they're so happy to hear it. And we, in our turn, we are very happy to play it. It's a way of like setting aside these differences, like you mentioned, crisis type situation, we set that aside and we just enjoy the moment.
What is your message of your music when you play?
Well, the music is a message in itself. It's just because it's instrumental. It's just a sound. But if I could add to that, I would say that if my music can inspire people or enlighten them in any way, I'm very happy that that works.
Some music experts called fusion music. That fusion music, it's like a philosophy for all world. It's avant-garde of globalization. I mean, fusion people gather together, different cultures, ethnic music, and so on, and fusion like philosophy. Maybe you have a special philosophy for your music, for your.
For me, the music speaks for itself, and really, it really ultimately means no category.
Okay.
In the world of jazz music, which I've lived in for many years, it's anything. If you can make anything, go with anything, and do it right and do it well, then that's it.
Okay. And Larry, what are your plans for next couple of years?
Well, I would like to complete production of the opera that I wrote based on Tolstoy's novel War and Peace, and we are planning on starting performing it at the end of this year in the Balkans, Slovenia, Croatia, Slovakia, but I would also like to bring it to Russia if it's possible.
Mm-hmm. And you have, you know, the dates? Where it can be?
The dates. I think the first concert is December 2nd or December 3rd. I can't remember.
That's very soon.
Yeah, that's why when I finish this tour, I have to go to Slovenia.
Okay, people who will listen to this interview, they know about this and come to your concert.
Great.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
And Larri Korьелл.
All right, excellent.